Namaste, I'm Biswajit Mishra. Today I'm going to read a poem in honor of my mother, Urmila Mishra, who passed in 2019, April 5th. By Indian Almanac, today is her fourth death anniversary. So here's a poem in honor of my mom, Urmila Mishra. A good time to leave. It is in the wee hours that the phone rings. Might have been even earlier on an April morning. It is always so, or so it seems. Same thing happened with my dad. He was in the hospital but not expected to not come back home walking. He had laughed on the phone from his hospital bed 2 days before, wondering why they kept him there for his mere hiccups. But why should she bother? Or how could she pick a better time? And I had been dithering on a visit, even pushed phone calls to next weekend. Still, she does her best for the most, keeping everything non-eventful, as much as possible, of course. She didn't wear a watch, didn't own one. I think the last one she had, or may not be the last one, but the golden one that I would borrow when I was in school to wear and see how would my wrist look grown up. Not in size, but in stature, which I thought the watch augmented. My dad's would have been too big for me, and it would not be as easily available. And who'd take the risk? And why when my mom's was easy? And she didn't wear that even then. She didn't go out often. Didn't think she felt the need, nor did I have any need, wearing a watch playing soccer or just hanging out dusty until called in. A habit was enough to keep the schedule in order, just practice of responsibility. But my siblings perhaps didn't see much of that as she kept growing and growing quieter, except occasional sputters to avert any mundaneness seeping into her world within the lime mortar walls. But I can't get out of the memory of her little body scurrying around a bit mad that my dad had invited people for dinner impromptu without checking with her. How would he have without phones then when I think of it now? Regardless, her limped run to and from the kitchen, the yard, the hallway, in either of the places she would have had the grinding stone depending upon the season, and the hearth without a switch had to be prepared in advance with coal, and once the fire died, even a cup of tea would piss anyone off, and that's when you didn't want to get in front of her, because she would have turned really into Lakshmi Bai. No wonder she carried me to the hospital and walked, until someone volunteered to help. She was hardly able. I was as tall as her. When I had cracked my head throwing stones at a jujube tree in a neighbor's garden, her anger and worry all blended, and that expression I can't articulate enough. In any event, I must have been little, about 12. But she still makes sure she arrives home in the afternoon, not too late, not too early. There, 2 kids and their families with her when she decides time. She was rather quiet anyway, most of the time, or jabbering when she felt like, though that was on a decline over the slope of time. And what could she have done about my work? That kept rutting in jitters, and I kept planning for that trip, but she would have had no complaint. A bit of yearning-driven sadness, maybe. She does her best, and thinks it's better to go without much ado. One final time, so that nobody thinks of her jabbers, and work or no work, I have to make that rush flight home, where she has just left her kids to fill for her. Breaking her habit of running out to hug me and kiss me, which should have embarrassed me growing up. Not so much now grown up, but who knows? Why take chances the final time? Thank you. Namaste. And Rani Lakshmi Bai, to clarify, was a fierce, brave, widowed Indian queen who fought with colonialists for her kingdom.